The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, The Green Law Firm, personal injury attorney, Kaylin Parker of Magnolia Wealth Strategies, Moe's Pizza, Lance's AC and Heating, CC's Children Blocks, The Pierre Family in Lafayette, Louisiana, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB the Sports Guy. We got a good one tonight as we continue Legends Month here on the Hash It Out Show. We will be celebrating the life of a true legend, a pioneer in sports here in Louisiana and high school sports as well. The one and only Ed Daniels, Richie Mills of ABC 26, WGNO TV going to join us at 7:30. Then at 8:05, the one and only head coach of the John Curtis Patriots, Coach JT Curtis. He's going to be joining us as well as we celebrate the life of Ed Daniels. And as you see, can't do this without my co-host, the one and only VK Jones. What's up, VK Jones?
What's going on, man? Like, tag, share, subscribe to the Hash It Out Show. We are back on all social media platforms. GB, welcome back, my friend. You know what I'm saying? So we're for a second we had to deal with some things for a minute. We was on at least 2 platforms. Now we're back up to everybody now. So
we were on three. We were on three.
We were
on 3. We just
okay.
wasn't on Facebook, but we back on that day.
Yeah, we are back on Facebook, back on all social media platforms. So continue to like, share, tag, share, subscribe, and continue and the bluff like that. but man, this is a very big show tonight for us. This is a very somber and not just somber. This is a celebration tonight, man. This is a big time celebration of a legend in itself that's been a long time overdue. And he had got a lot of his dibs last week at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. So, we're celebrating the life and times of Ed Daniels tonight. And we got some great stories from both Richie and Coach JT. So we're looking forward to getting things going tonight with this show.
So as we celebrate the life of the one and only Ed Daniels, let's talk about this right quick. Let's talk about this, man. We know he went to Loyola and then started off in the Lake Charles area, then came here with WDSU, then went to WGNO, and he wanted to start a high school football show. And a lot of people kind of scoffed at the idea, like, really, who's going to watch that? Well, that show is still going over 30 plus years now. And it's one of the best shows on TV in the New Orleans area. And it's on the ticket. You can get it on the ticket also at 11 or 12. I
11
can't
o'clock.
remember.
11 o'clock, right there. Sam McCay is live right there when NOLA 38 comes on.
NOLA
Because it comes on NOLA first,
CW.
and then 12:05 it comes on WGNO for the replay.
So,
but also they I'm sorry, I'm gonna have you continue, but I'm saying on ticket It goes from, but the ticket is simulcast with other stations
That's
across the
correct.
state, so they'll catch it too.
You are correct. Yes, sir. You are right about that. Forgot about the other stations. My fault on that. But you go to a high school football game, if you love high school football, man, you coming home and trying to see some Friday night football. Am I correct? You coming home to see that. And now when you think about it, excuse me, I'm sorry. When you think about it, look at the other news stations who now have a high school football little show. I shouldn't say little. I apologize. They have a high school football show. WDSU has one. WWL has one. They got one. Fox 8 has one. They have one due to what Ed Daniels started. And it was always a phenomenal show. And for that show to still be on air all these years later, man, um, it's great, and it's continuing his legacy as it moves forward with Coach JT Curtis still on the show and Richie Mills taking over. VK.
Well, it goes back to my times as a teenager. I was in the 8th grade going into 9th when Friday Night Football debuted in 1992. And I tell you, man, some people was telling me, man, like a couple people that go to my church, you need to check out F and F. F and F. What is F and Friday Night Football? And all of a sudden, when I started, and at the time, I wasn't a sports aficionado like that when I was a kid. When I was 12 to 13 years old, that's the transition that happened.
Mm-hmm.
From beginning of 12 years old to 13, that's when the sports transition happened. And when I started looking at Sports Center, all this other stuff, reading newspapers, and then I checked out Friday Night Football. And it was amazing of how from the intro to, I wish we could play, but we would get in trouble. But at the same time, the intro was amazing in itself. And then you go from there to the introduction, and then go right into the highlights. And it's unbelievable that they used to shoot at least 10, maybe 15 games a week. They have different. And when I found out how it was done from Ed Daniels, it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
Whole lot of work. And I mean, and basically, they don't have 10, 15 photographers. They might have 6 to maybe 8 photographers. And some of those photographers might have to go to more than one game to get highlight clips.
That's correct.
If
And
there's
also using some of their reporters to also be cameramen as well.
Exactly the point. So the thing is, when you look at that, also there's certain games, and Ed always used to say, there's certain games we point out to certain cameramen, especially our top people. They'll cover this one, and majority of the time, they'll be there for the whole time. Mm-hmm. Because that's the big game of the week. That's the huge game. If some of these games not that good, well, we're gonna go this game, that game. So that's how they used to do that. So it's amazing stuff. I didn't know how real it was with Friday Night Football until I was in Mississippi at the time around Katrina. I did WAPT in Jackson, and they did a high school football show. And when I seen how that stuff was done, I can understand what Ed and them was doing. Like, oh my God. And the thing about it is you on deadline, meaning you got to have highlights ready to go, stuff scripted, all this other stuff and everything, get everything logged down to, okay, when this happened, that happened, so we can put a script together. So it's a lot of work. That's the undertaking of Friday Night Football. And when you hear JT tonight, he's going to be straight up with you.
Oh, yeah.
When he comes in, he's got to be prepared of what he's got to say and all this other stuff. So it's a lot. It's an undertaking of what they do. But I think a lot of people was looking forward to Friday Night, including me when I started playing high school football and going to St. Aug. Like at the time back then, and now, back then St. Augustine was the Saturday specials. They always played on a Saturday. very few times in the season, St. Aug might play one Friday or two Friday and a Thursday.
Similar like how Shaw was too.
Yeah, Shaw, you're right. Shaw usually plays Saturday afternoons at home. So you're right. So it was the Saturday special. So, usually you might have the double header. You go to Hospitals and watch Shaw at 2 o'clock. You go right across the river to St. Aug, 7:30. You know what I'm saying? So back then it was the Saturday special. But when St. Aug played on a Friday night, we was running to the TV to try to see how it looked, how the highlights, how they kind of treated us and all that stuff. So we looked forward to it. But then even some of the huge games, like Eric West Jeff, Hanville Destrehan, and we knew that was going because I literally every Friday, Jared, I was looking at the newspaper. I was looking at the newspaper, seeing who's playing,
See the matchups
see the matchups,
and
and
try to
who's
see
playing.
where Friday night football may be.
Yeah, exactly. Where Friday Night Football may be, but not just that. Be like, okay, who doing what? Because I knew some people that played for Eric, some people played for Shaw, West Jeff, or Perry Walker. Like, trying to see okay, who playing who. But then you hear about these teams and looking at the highlights and all that stuff and read the newspaper combined with the Times Picayune, amazing. So it was just a fact, bro. That was my life because I felt like, man. Because I was prepared when I was going to St. Aug, go to barbershops and be like, man, I know about this player, this player, this player, that player. They're like, how you know about it? Man, I'm watching, bro. I'm looking at this. So it's good stuff when and they set the tone. They set the tone for the other local state, but not just that, all over the state. They emulating what Friday night football is. Because you see the Baton Rouge stations, North Louisiana, they got a couple of big time high school shows covering North Louisiana and stuff like that. So they're emulating
Oh, they
what
got shows throughout the
it is
state.
doing. That's
Lake
what I'm
Charles
saying.
got a show.
They Charles got a story.
I'm sure
Exactly.
Lafayette got a show,
Oh
which
yeah.
Megan Glover and Seth used to
Mhm.
work at.
Used to run it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Back
Baton
in the day.
Rouge. Yeah,
Baton
so
Rouge.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm saying all over the state. But Friday night football set the tone because you look at those other stations and how they do it, it's just like how Ed Daniels and company did it for a long, long time for Friday night football, and they kept upgrading every year.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I really thought that first intro, the original with the music, was hard. You just gotta love it. But the second season, that was the best intro they ever had. From the Dexter hand, from the Dexter hand, you have to think about it. From the Dexter
It had
hand,
some good ones. I ain't about to debate it though. Go ahead.
no, this was we're not gonna go. It's a nice little debate, but to me, the second year intro, when they
What's up,
took
Coach
that
Johnson?
video from Destrehan and West Monroe, when Chandler Mache threw that deep touchdown pass, and that dude was in the corner, caught it, and you see the helmet, boom, to the camera, and come to find out, and Ed Daniels tell the story this day, the camera was broke.
Yeah, I'm
He,
sure.
he said who the top. He said that camera was gone after that play because you could
Mm.
hear the effects on and everything. You could hear that the glass kind of broke. So I was like, oh my god, this is in your face.
My boy Nola
So
Lee, he agrees with you. The cameraman getting hit.
yeah, I mean, boom, like oh my. But there was some good intros after they implemented all type of music. They implemented hip hop as well.
He sure did.
So that was really cool. It really adapted to the times
Yeah.
of what's going on. And the biggest subject that they ever had to tackle, and they did some great segments, including talking about the players of the week. They sometimes had a period that they go back to certain games and everything about what happened, what moments. The biggest subject they ever had to deal with was a split.
Oh
And I
yeah.
mean,
Yep.
that there was game changing in itself. So that was a huge subject. They talked a little bit about realign was it enrollment, realignment stuff. They talked about certain games that are of history in itself
They
and
still do.
rivalries
They still do.
they still do, and also the history of how things kind of changed it. So I mean, they dig into the crates
I tell you what,
of a
brother.
lot of history.
Tell you what, man. You think of some of the stories that they go back and revisit. One was Darren Barbier becoming the coach at Hornville, winning the state championship, and they focus on the game that he had with Shaw coming up, with Coach Hank being his mentor.
Yeah.
Um, they got one, I think, on Coach Biagas from St. Aug. Biagas,
Biegus.
yeah. And then they
Okay.
had one on him. They got
Hmm.
a lot of different stories just to catch us up on things that happened in the past, which I love so much about that show, man. Because
I rem-
people that's coming up don't know things that happened back in the past, and when they look at that, they get to see it. Also, something that some of y'all don't know that I've witnessed, like coming back from a road game. Those coaches, let's say they get back late. Them coaches in their office, they watching Friday Night Football also. They are watching it also. So it's it's pretty much spread out, not just amongst fans, but coaches also. And that is what makes this great, VK.
yeah, Austin, I like the comment you said. They did a segment one year about the stadiums, about the history of all the stadiums all over the state, all over the city, and everything else. And that was really great when they did that. It was awesome to talk about the history of Bobby Nuss, Tad Gormley, Hoss Memphis. They talked about all over, not just in New Orleans, but all over the state. That was awesome. The stories that they did about it. They did something called a Friday Night Flashback. They still do that. You know what I'm saying? The one Friday Night Flashback, and I was so my heart was so joyful because it was great memories. And Shelby Ball, I don't want to do that to you. It was a
He
Friday
gonna do
night.
it though, Shelby. He gonna do it.
I have to because it was the Friday. It was 2 years ago, I believe, 2 years ago when they did Friday Night Flashback, and I shared it on Facebook
Of
before
course you
because I
did.
there was some great flashbacks.
Did.
This one was Saint Augustine and Hanville
Yeah.
in '93,
Yeah. The
my
game you always
freshman year.
talk about. Yeah, go ahead. Go
Of
ahead.
course, it was. You have to think, man. It's my alma mater. I'm a freshman. It's my birthday. It is my birthday, and I'm going out to Tiger Stadium for the first time. I was so impressed of what that atmosphere is, and it is real. It is real. Tiger Stadium is real, and I couldn't believe all the nuances that went on in that stadium. For Hanville to just start the game the way they did, I was like, okay, we know St. Aug gonna have a time, but let's see what happens. And St. Aug just second quarter just took off, and that was it. The ball game was over like like 3 minutes into the third, and I was like, bruh, this was just an unbelievable night. St. Aug making a semifinal. It was a semifinal appearance for the first time in a long time for them to get that berth to go, and then on top of that, realizing St. Augustine didn't have to travel for the semis. They was hosting it. The thing was they couldn't do it at Tag only. They had a thing with Christmas of the Oaks that they could not play games at Tag. That was a huge issue back then.
What are the same issue we just had? Not this past season, but the season before with Acadiana and Holy Cross.
Yeah, it was a cup. Yeah, that was
Gosh, that's
I,
crazy, man.
and they did not do that for a long time. That it was a big issue way early in the '90s, but they stopped it because they felt like we still need to have high school football here. We
Yes.
can't deny. Now is it? I'm like, it depends on who's running things. That's the biggest thing. Whoever's running things at City Park, that's who makes the calls. So right then and there, St. Aug could not host a tag, but Hoss Memphis was open, and they played that game, and it was an unbelievable ball game. The beginning of the West Monroe era, then, but at the same time, man, it was a great memory to that ball game in itself at Tiger Stadium, the atmosphere, and for St. Aug winning it, it was a great night, man. But a lot of great flashbacks that they go on Friday Night Football, and I mean,
Like
They
Austin
are.
said, when they did the player rankings, the top 20 players, I want to say either
Yes.
McKnight or Peyton Manning was number one.
I think it was Jonathan McKnight. I believe. I think it was McKnight
You
that
mean
was number
Joe?
one.
You
It was
mean Joe
close.
McKnight?
Joe McKnight. Joe McKnight. I'm sorry.
And that
Thank you.
little brother.
Thank you, dude. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Joe. Not Jonathan. Joe. But I knew a good bit of the McKnights. I actually knew the mother personally because we actually went to Delgado together.
What's up, Kenny?
So man, she really talked about her kids a lot, including
Oh.
her daughter and them sons. So for seeing Joe in person, and I had to tell Miss Jennifer, I said, Miss Jennifer, your son is a bad man. Your son is
He
a
sure
bad
was.
man. He a bad man. Y'all said you right. He a bad man.
Man, I remember watching the highlights on Friday Night Football.
Ooh, yes.
Because I was somewhere and I couldn't watch the game, but man, got home, put it on Friday Night Football, and I saw the highlights and that deep pass Joe caught on Hoover to put the score 28-14. I was like,
And I
man,
have and he basically beat Hoover by himself.
that was a team
He had
effort. It's a team
it was
effort.
it was a it was
Team
a
effort. All right, it's team effort. We gonna cut the commercial break.
we'll come.
We're gonna cut the commercial break, and when we
I
come
know where you're
back,
going.
and we come back, Richie Mills of WGNO TV will join us right here on the Hash It Out show as we celebrate the life of Ed Daniels. Are you in need of a new windshield? Leo Autoglass can help. For 20 years, Leo Autoglass have been servicing the New Orleans area with windshield replacement and auto glass repair. Give them a call today, 504-301-8353.
Hey y'all, this is Jen Hale from Fox Sports. You're watching the Hash It Out Show with JB the Sports Guy, VK Jones, and George Peppis.
Did you experience storm damage from Hurricane Francine? Barretto Home Solutions can help. You can give them a call at 504-940-7552.
Green Law Firm is a full-service law firm specializing in personal injury, criminal law, successions, and family law. With over 25 years of experience, the Green Law Firm continues to provide efficient, competitive, and effective representation to clients throughout the state of Louisiana and all across the nation. Consultations are free. If you're looking for results, call the Green Law Firm at 504-328-3990. That's 504-328-3990, located at 931 Westwood Drive, Suite B in Marrero, Louisiana. The Green Law Firm.
And welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB the Sports Guy. I have VK Jones alongside me. Our next guest, good friend of ours. He is the sports director of ABC 26 Sports at WGNO TV. You can also catch him Friday nights for Friday Night Football once the season starts. The one, the only, Richie Mills. What's going on, my friend? How you doing? Richie, we cannot hear you. Are you muted?
Let's be muted.
Let me see. No, he's not muted. He's not muted. We cannot hear Richie. Richie, let's do this. Log out, log back in, and let's try it from there.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. There we go. You're good. You're good. There we go, Richie.
Technology 1, Richie 0, but everyone loves a comeback story. So here we go. What's up, guys?
No much, my friend. How
What's
you
going
doing?
on, man?
Just living the dream, one day at a time. Can you believe season 34 of Friday Night Football is less than a month and a half away? I mean, JB, I know you can. I was interrogating you on the Shaw sideline for their spring game about, hey, who's wearing number 5? And no matter how many times you told me, I was always messing with you. But no, man, it's great. It's the best time of the year. I tell people all the time when they're like, what do you enjoy doing the most? I said, if all we did were the Friday shows, Friday Night Football, Friday Night Sports, Friday Night Fastball, I'd be the happiest man in the entire world. But unfortunately, we have other ventures that make us a little bit of money too. But no, Friday Night Football is by far the best.
Man, I can't wait, man. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to be wherever I am covering the game, and then get home and watch it. Or if it's a long trip at a game I'm at, I just turn it on the radio and watch it. Or I got it on my phone. So yeah, we gonna be tuned in all the time, my friend.
Yeah, my first exposure to it was 2013. My brother was playing for Hank Tierney over at Ponchatoula, and we had just, I born and raised in Chalmette. Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005. We were forced to evacuate to Macomb, Mississippi. So not a lot of Friday night football exposure up there. But we moved back to Ponche in 2008. Still going to school up there, so still not really in tune with it. But once my brother started playing for Coach Hank at Ponchatoula, my dad would always be at the game with me, and he'd be like, "We got to run back home. We got to get some food, and then we got to watch Friday night football." And I'm like, what's Friday night football? And so we'd sit down, we watch it. I'd see Ed and Coach JT, and I'm seeing the highlights, and I'm seeing the volume of games. I'm seeing everything and the pacing. I'm like, whoa, this is a rush. This is kind of addicting to watch in a sense. And at the time, I was going to Southeastern. I was a sports broadcast major. So at the time, I'm like, that's something that I could definitely want to do and get behind. And so it's crazy to think that, that was 2013. Here we are, 11 years now, and I'm actually doing the show myself. Of course, I wish the circumstances surrounding that were completely different, but it's always been a dream of mine to really take over this program, be a part of it in the role that I am now. So I think that's one of the coolest aspects of my job.
Definitely, man, and it's well deserving. Let's get into it. You got to WGNO TV. Ed Daniels at the time was your boss. How much of a mentor was he to you?
Well, seeing him in 2013, you start to learn about the legend that is Ed Daniels. And, we go to those Ponche games, and if they were ever game of the week, you look on the sideline and he's standing there. And you're thinking to yourself, like, it's 8 o'clock at night. Show starts at 11. You got to get back. And then come to find out he was there. Everything was great. I mean, it was kind of cool because December of 2018 is when I started working here at WGNO. I was a morning show producer. So we'd intersect at about the 10:30, 11 o'clock hours, and you just kind of see him walk out, and in a sense, you're like, wow, that's Ed Daniels. And then he look at you and be like, how you doing? So he went out of his way, introduced himself, got to know him on a personal level. I thought that was so cool. And then 2019, the fall of 2019, I'll never forget. He's walking by, and I think one of his camera guys for Friday Night Football couldn't make it that Friday. Hanville was playing Thibodeau in the fall of 2019, big time game. And he's just kind of like all up in the air, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get to it? And I remember telling him, sir, I've shot high school football before. If you need help, like, I can come back later this afternoon and help you out. So, of course, that was the first time I ever got to help out on Friday Night Football. And when I got back, just the immense gratitude of just knowing how big the game was for them. He went around bragging to the entire station for the week, just like, man, Richie came through, man. Richie was on top of things. He saved the entire show. And, just the way he would make you feel about contributing to his programming, that was his baby for 30 plus years. So any way you can help him raise that child and make it the best it can possibly be, he was your number one fan. And then, of course, in 2020, a ton of turnover, also bad circumstances that nobody wants to deal with. That was really when I was actually hired to start doing sports here at WGNO. And like I said, I just fell in love with Friday Night Football. And, seeing Ed operate on a Friday night was truly cinematic. Unfortunately, we didn't have a camera for good reasons following that man around. But just seeing the grind and the passion and just the relentless effort that he would put forth to this programming, truly, it was intoxicating in a sense. It was addicting. And so, of course, after his tragic passing this fall, and I've come to the realization that now I have to do that and carry that torch. Man, it was the most nervous 6-month stretch, maybe of my entire life, knowing what not just the program meant to him. And you obviously want to honor him with the work. JT, you want to make sure he's having a great time doing it. But just knowing what it means to the community. I mean, the first time I did it, so many emails of people reaching out, just talking about what this show has meant to them for so long and the impact it's had and how great it is that we were able to carry it on and continue it. So a nerve-wracking 6 months, but probably the best 6-month stretch I'll ever remember in my career.
You talk about continuing the tradition as becoming the host of Friday Night Football. Talk about how important of a person Ed Daniels was, not only just in the sports world here in the state of Louisiana, but also in the community.
So I always operated under the assumption of WW Ed, what would Ed do? So that's certainly how the Friday Night Football game plan would come together. But when you sit back and you think about it, and you see him getting all of his flowers now with the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, Loyola Hall of Fame, St. Sebastian Award over at Loyola, it's bittersweet in a sense because it's well deserved by each and every stretch of imagination. But you sort of wish that he would have been able to really bask in these glories while he was alive. And that's something that I certainly wish for him right now because, I mean, you're talking about an individual that gave his absolute all to his community each and every day. I mean, he was at council meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning trying to get funding for the All-State Sugar Bowl National Prep Classic. He was constantly on the phone trying to organize a baseball tournament, that basketball tournament, which I know you guys have seen firsthand. That takes a ton of work and a ton of time. And he made time for all of it. I mean, his time management was flawless. The baseball tournament he would organize would be, of course, charitable contributions to charity across the area. He was trying to organize a volleyball tournament. It's just a 7-on-7 tournament. It just felt like every twist and turn, there was something he was trying to do for the betterment of Jefferson Parish, South Louisiana, the New Orleans metro area. And it was never about him. It was always about people. And one thing you obviously learn, you can have all the sports knowledge in the world to carry on a program like Friday Night Football. But the most important aspect to him were the relationships he was able to form with coaches, with people. If you were a fan, you reached out to him. He was going to, talk your ear off, have a great conversation about everything, tell you about his awesome basketball tournament. But the relationship aspect of things is definitely something that has come to the forefront since his passing. That's something I hear about all the time, along with how well dressed he was. You guys have seen me at football games. I'll wear a t-shirt, a gym shorts. I'll be sweating my tail off. And everyone's like, man, when we see him out here, he's wearing a suit. I'm like, of course he's wearing a suit. It's Ed Daniels. What do you expect? I mean, don't judge me off my clothing, but just seeing him work and hearing the stories of how he does so many things really throughout the course of 30 years. I only knew him for maybe that 6-7 year stretch, but just hearing, all the stories, the memories after his passing, truly inspiring and makes you want to carry on this tradition for another 33 years.
VK.
Man, Rich, good to have you on the show, man. You know what I'm saying? Welcome. And, this ain't going to be your first time. But at the same time, bro, you said you came through the Ponchatoula southeastern area to got things started with yourself and everything. Did you ever run into, I don't know if you know him, Travis Connolly?
Travis, I believe I did. I'm terrible with names. I'm great with faces. So I'm going to say yes for the sake of this being a recorded program, and it's going to continue to live on for the rest of my life.
Yeah, he's a SID at Southwest Mississippi, and he went to Ponchatoula, and also he graduated from Southeastern as well. So he's been working behind the scenes for a long time. So I don't know if you might have ran into him. I just asked, but I'm gonna ask you this: with you stepping in to Friday Night Football last season and everything, how it was working with the legendary JT Curtis, especially with the transition from him all these years side by side with Ed. Now he's got to go side by side with you, and not just the fact that with him losing a great partner and friend, but also at the same time, not too long ago, losing his wife as well.
So obviously, when we've come to the realization that we might have to start the show with Ed, I mean, no one was more optimistic about his recovery than us here at the station because, we expect him to come walking through that door any second. And then there was sort of a realization that, we might have to start Friday Night Football without him. So the main thing for me was getting a quality program on the air and making sure that head coach JT Curtis had the best time that he possibly could have. And I know that the way that was going to happen was just elite, ultimate, efficient execution like Ed had done for 30 plus years. And so we had done everything to make sure that happened. And I consider myself a point guard when I'm on the anchor desk. So I have the greatest football resource in the history of the game, maybe to my left. I'm going to toss it to him as much as possible. I'm going to let him make me look good in a sense, but I just wanted Coach JT Curtis to have the best time that he possibly could. And sort of after, 17, 18 weeks of just grinding, I found myself just constantly asking him, like, Coach, like, how was that for you? Was that great? Like, so that was important for me, was making sure, A, that he was having fun, B, that we had a quality program, but just making sure it was something enjoyable and something that Ed would be proud of.
Very much agreed. And I think y'all had a very, very good chemistry. Very good chemistry.
Yes.
I know it took a little time in the beginning, but it seemed like that he didn't miss a step. It seemed like he's done it before, but making the adjustment with you know, after the first week and all the way on, it's like, man, it's like Friday Night Football has not missed a beat at all.
And I was listening to you guys kind of the first 20 minutes of the show while I'm running around here like a chicken with my head cut off. And, you know, you talk about the evolution of the show open, the graphics, the effects, the video. The entire show is on paper. So that's something that people don't truly realize. Yeah, we have a teleprompter, we have a giant monitor, you can see the highlights. We don't ever look at those things. The entire show is on a thick stack of paper. I know at the end of one of the first shows, I threw the entire stack behind me and someone had called me, been like, man, that was so funny that you did that. I'm like, well, that was the entire show. So those pieces of paper are so critical to the entire operation that when we're reading them for the first time, that is truly the first time either one of us is seeing those words. And Coach JT has had a system in place for 30 plus years that makes it work so efficient and so well that, you know, I had to learn in a sense. And in my mind, when I'm thinking to myself, that's the all-time winningest high school football coach in the history of the game. I need to get on my game. I need to be on my A game because that's what he expects from me. But, you know, I tell people that story all the time. They're like, so what are you guys reading on the teleprompter? What are y'all looking at? I said, a thick stack of paper. So many trees die in this station on Friday nights. And that's something that people don't truly realize until I tell them that story. But no, Coach JT couldn't have done it without him. He's been fantastic throughout this entire process. And like I said, a lot of my motivation moving forward is just to make sure that he enjoys the program as much as the viewers do.
The bare bones more than anything else. I worked in the newsroom before. I already know that those scripts, the playbook. So I definitely get it, you know. So like this, you continued more than anything else last season with the Friday night flashbacks and all that stuff. It seemed like nothing changed. Everything just stayed the way it is and all that stuff. And some very interesting stories. So what kind of nuances we might be maybe looking into this year, you know what I'm saying, still carrying on, but anything kind of new for Friday Night Football coming up?
So the show has been so great in its set, I guess, pillars. The highlights, obviously, the player of the week, scholar athlete of the week. So, you know, when Ed passed, obviously, I sat in a meeting with our department, our sales department, with our producer, our sports producer, Mark Dean at the time. And the day after Ed's funeral, you know, Mark tragically passed away in an accident on the Crescent City Connection. So ideally, you know, realistically, we lost two members of our sports department in the week leading up to Friday Night Football. So fortunately, I can't, you know, give all this credit to anyone but Mark in a sense, who really was our calming presence in a sense. And the point that I'm getting to is that, you know, we came up with the idea to sort of trim the fat, but make it efficient and as traditional as possible. And so that was kind of what we wanted to do moving forward. You didn't want to change much. The show's been great for so many reasons, and you see that each and every Friday. So changes were going to be minimal. The important thing was getting a quality program on the air, and we tried to do that as much as possible. Unfortunately, we couldn't do many flashbacks this year because people don't realize this. A lot of those ideas came from the man who was presenting them. So all those flashbacks came from the brain of Ed Daniels, right on the fly in a sense. And so you never had to say, hey, Ed, we need a flashback. He's like, I already got one. And he'd go and he'd crank it out in a second. You'd be like, how does he store all of this stuff? So naturally, when we're scrambling to try and figure out how we're going to get all this stuff on the air, they're like, Richie, do you think we can try a flashback this year? I said, let's hold off on it a year because I don't know a third of what that man knew or experienced. I wasn't there. And that's really a lot of the experiences are just being there and seeing them yourself. So we'll try to bring that back. We'll try to incorporate the traditional pieces. But when people ask me what's going to be different about the show this year, I tell them it's going to be better based off the fact that I've actually done it a year. I think I might have been the weakest link on the show the entire year. And the most important aspect was me getting reps, learning more about, you know, the entire operation, because it's a lot. I mean, we have at least 30 people that contribute to this show each and every Friday. I heard you guys talking about the photographers that we send out to games. That's just maybe a fourth of the entire operation. There's so much that goes into it. And so when I tell people all the time that it's going to be better next year, it's because of, you know, me just having a year of really overseeing the entire operation as a whole. So I think it'll be better. I think it'll be more efficient. And what we did try to do last year when Coach JT Curtis couldn't make it to the program, I tried to incorporate Lester Ricard, and I thought that was important because Lester is pretty much a product that was featured on the show. I mean, that was a quarterback at Amite High School, highly recruited nationwide, went to play for Nick Saban and LSU, wound up at Tulane, set a bunch of records. And I thought, who better to really, showcase the show than someone that's been featured on it. And I remember the first time he did it, it was so cool, and you saw the investment from him. So you'll kind of see a little bit more of that this year. But, we tried to keep the tradition and the pillars of it as similar as they were in the past.
Very much, I can understand that. Very much agreed. Ed really reached out to a lot of the media people. Ken Trahan, his best friend, more than anything else, an extended anchor. But then on top of that, he really opened the doors for a lot of us, including myself, JB. He opened it a lot to a lot of the media that was coming up and everything else. And you're doing the same. You always did that, but you're picking up where Ed left off, and he always give us a shout, give us some advice, and not just that, doesn't mind coming for an interview or anything, but he is always an open book to any and anybody.
Absolutely. And I know you guys have had a taste of this in the past, but my personality, I kind of force you guys to try and be friends with me in a sense, but that's just my nature. I mean, we're out there and we're sweating our tails off at these games and we're working them, but I mean, we're just, chopping it up back and forth the entire game. But that's just my personality. I enjoy the relationship aspect of it. And when you sit there the whole time and you truly pay attention to what he was doing, knowing in a sense in the back of my mind, I'm like, in 30 years, because I thought this man was going to live to be like 150, I'm thinking, in 30 years when I might get my chance to take it over, like I want to see how it works. I want to see what makes it tick. And the one big takeaway were the relationships that Ed Daniels was able to form, not just with the coaches, players, fans, but the media members. And, you two are my favorite. I have a great list of people who, when I run into at a football game, you see it, the big cheesy smile comes to my face.
Yes.
No, that it's all genuine. Like I truly enjoy seeing you guys. I truly enjoy seeing the amount of coverage that high school athletics gets throughout this area. And I truly enjoy seeing the platforms that promote these young student athletes, players, coaches, because we have so many great individuals in this area. And I think the more promotion they can get, the better.
Absolutely. And that's huge that we have so many. And I appreciate what you're telling us and everything else.
Hey, I'm telling the truth.
Yes, you are.
we know somebody else that really digs us, and that's your partner, Jared Paul Joseph. And I'll tell you, man, Jared and Jared coming soon. That's all I say.
Oh Lord.
But look, it's fun. It's not funny at all. Let me just set that straight. But we did 3/4 of the high school football season with a 2-man sports department and an operation that promotes it more than anyone else. And we'll kind of sit there and we'll look back at times and we'll just be like, man, I don't know how we did that, because people don't understand. We also had the SEC come to ABC for the first time. So we had specials each and every weekend. I mean, there was one weekend we did 3 straight specials. I feel like I was sleeping on the anchor desk and Coach JT was napping right behind me because we were just hosting programming left and right. And but again, it's a rush that I wouldn't change. And that's why I tell people it's going to be better, because now I know what to expect. But yeah, man, it's just I don't know how we did it, but we have a full sports staff right now, truly incredible staff and outgoing staff, and one that hopefully Ed and everybody can be proud of in year 34.
Very much agreed. I got one last one for you, and I'm gonna let Jared close it out. We're definitely gonna have you on before the season starts.
Man, you better.
It's a must.
I'm a little upset that I'm just now being asked. This is the off season, but it's not really. I mean, we're out there at 7-on-7. I say we. I wasn't out there, so I can't say too much. But no, it's the off season, but it never really is for us.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's the best time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we're gonna definitely have you on again, because the thing is, this is the celebration here. We know the real deal is gonna come up, so that's why we're gonna have you on again. But the last question is this: the family. How's the family been for Ed Daniels? Robin, I mean, such a wonderful woman. That the kids, how they're doing, but not just that with the family. a lot of stuff Ed really set and jumped off the tournaments, the national basketball tournament, the baseball stuff, and everything else. Any kind of updates with that? Because I had to inbox you before and ask you a question about it because I know JB kind of asked about it. A couple people like, is they bringing it back? I was like, I don't know. I'm about to ask Rich. And when you said, then I was like, wow. But any kind of updates that there's a possibility that any of those tournaments might return?
Absolutely. I mean, there's never a good time to lose a loved one, obviously, and unfortunately, the passing of Ed was one thing, but the timing of it was a whole beast in itself. Because you're talking about the All-State Sugar Bowl National Prep Classic. You're talking about teams from all over the country mixed with teams from the metro area competing at a venue like the Hilario Center over the course of an entire week. He would take a vacation just to oversee operations at this facility. So again, that just shows you the work ethic. In regards to the family, I want to say this, and I'm glad you're recording this because Miss Robin Daniels, Ed's wife, her strength has been so inspiring. And you kind of feel for her in a sense, like I say, Ed's being recognized, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, Loyola Hall of Fame, St. Sebastian Award, among many other accolades we expect him to receive throughout the years. But she has been at the forefront of each and every one of them. She's answered everyone's questions. She's delivered messages the best that she possibly could. Her strength has been so inspiring. And my family's known Miss Robin, obviously, before I started working here. So we kind of had a sense as to just that family dynamic. And Ed was the ultimate family man. That entire family strength has been awesome. And, it's never an ideal time to lose a loved one, but they're doing the best that they possibly can. And the one thing that we wanted to be throughout the course of this entire process, even when, the incident happened in Los Angeles, was to be respectful, because space was the most important thing, to not push, to let them handle it and digest everything as it came. But to see them, and they go to so many public appearances now, but it's tough, but their strength is so inspiring, and I can't say that enough.
Wow.
Definitely agree with you on that one.
And hopefully you'll keep us posted if anything with the tournaments. Hopefully that it'll make a return, especially the baseball tournament has been good, but the basketball tournament,
right? And again, too, it was just it happened so fast,
right.
In a sense. I mean, the other day I was thinking, I'm like, man, this last 10 months has been so chaotic, because in what year do you have, the Super Bowl in town, with everything else that's transpired in this market, not just, the Saints, the Pelicans, breaking news left and right. It just felt like there was never a chance to just sit down and settle. LSU was on our air for the first time, full time. We were doing women's basketball specials, baseball specials.
Yeah.
So in a sense, when people would ask me, it's like, look, it's like, once I get a chance to sit down and truly just figure out what just happened and how we did it, then we'll be able to move forward to the other stuff. But the important thing, first and foremost to me, the reason why I'm here right now, obviously, was Friday Night Football. Let's make that the best it can possibly be, and then we'll tackle everything else. I mean, I would never try to be Ed Daniels in any way, shape, or form, because he truly was one of a kind in regards to the man he was, the work ethic that he had, the ventures that he would pursue each and every year. So I knew I was going to have to tackle this at my own pace, and we're getting there. We're trying to, I promise. But really, everything we do it in the most unselfish fashion, and we do it for everyone that watches.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Our good friend, the one and only Richie Mills, the WGNO TV host of Friday Night Football. My friend, thank you for coming on. I'm so happy you came on. And like VK said, before the season starts, we got to get you back.
You better. I mean, you can't just feed me all this bag of goods and tell me that I'm not coming back. I'm gonna be upset.
Well, I don't want you upset, my friend.
I appreciate y'all so much. Just your friendship, the platform that you guys have to promote everything high school athletics. I think it's truly awesome, and I greatly appreciate time to talk about Ed. I mean, he was truly one of a kind, a titan in our industry, and someone that left a blueprint really of the right way to go about it.
Most definitely.
Very much agreed. And we got plenty of sports to talk to you about when you bring you back.
Oh, yeah.
High school.
I am ready.
We're going to do a whole show, so
Pickleball.
we'll let you know the time.
Pickleball. There we go.
Yes, there we go.
Richie Mills, thank you, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
The one and only Richie Mills. Oh man, and what you see from Richie, that is him. That is him. That is him, man. And like he said when the interview started, I kept asking JB who was number 5 for Shaw. I asked him about 15 times, but I was just clowning. Yeah, he did. He like, I said, that's Jackson Williams, cornerback for Shaw. He said, you sure? Yes. And then he come back. Number 5, that's him, right? And I said, yeah, that's Jackson Williams. And he goes, okay, you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure, Richie. I'm sure. But knowing he was playing with me, and then once you get to know Richie, that is him, man. He's such a great person. I love that guy. I really do.
He's a rarity for a sports director. He's more of a one-man band type of sports director because he will bring his camera and he will shoot.
Yes, he will.
He will shoot it and go and report it. So that's why he didn't meant to mess with you, but he probably was doing it because it's hard
Oh,
for him to just
he had his
write
camera.
it down.
Oh yeah,
and
he had his
just,
camera.
you got to get it and just it's hard for him to stop and just write
Oh
and put
yeah.
it down.
Oh,
Now it's gonna be more easy for him when he get a roster and he's all good. He can just circle.
correct.
But the grind with him, because a lot of time with sports directors, they have a photographer and they do their thing. But with WGNO, for the first time, you have 4 sports reporters. If there's still 4, and all 4 of them are one-man banding, meaning they can shoot
Yeah, I've seen
and they can
Richie,
edit
Jared,
and they can,
Megan, and other
and
guy. I can't remember his name.
John Sokolov.
Yes, I've seen them
John
all
Sokolov.
with their cameras. Just them. I've seen them
And
all.
all 4 of them, they're different, but they have great personalities.
Oh yes,
All 4.
without a doubt.
When I met John, I mean, and I didn't know I knew he was new because Richie said we got a 4th guy coming. I said, good Lord, how many sports departments have 4 reporters? That's amazing. So for John to join and getting to know him, it's a nice personality, man.
Yes, he
But
is.
he's the type of person, he's business. He wants to get it done. When he got the question ready, I back away. I say, go ahead next. I'm gonna let you finish. Then I'll step in. So, but with John, Megan, Jared Paul Joseph, and Rich, that's a great sports team. And I think, in my opinion, I don't care what anybody say, the best sports team on television in New Orleans, in my opinion. Those 4 do some great stories. And I love when he's keeping it like Ed Daniels. Ed Daniels is an all-around sportsman in New Orleans. He's not gonna just cover Saints and LSU. He covers everybody.
Everybody.
He has Delgado. He gets Xavier. He goes everywhere. If there's a big story, it's Southeastern Nichols. When there's a big story and it's something good, even chicken for the soul, he gets it. And I think Rich is carrying it on. And I gotta love it, man. You got to think Rich has his humble bays. He was born and raised in Chalmette. Then he moved out because of Katrina, Vanna going back to Ponchatoula. So he got that work ethic and he's carrying it on. And I think he's doing some great work, man. And I think some great stories we heard tonight from Ed Daniels, from Richie, and big shout out to him. Big shout out to the Daniels family. And it's a good thing that things are going good with the family and for Miss Robin.
I said it before, and I'll say it again on this show. Richie Mills was the right person to become the new sports director, without a doubt.
As absolutely. I was wondering who they were going to, but I was like, it's got to be Rich. Rich has been there long enough. Jared Paul Joseph was just getting there, but Jared has done a great job. Reggie Bergeron, Coach Reggie Bergeron, what's happening, baby? What's going on? Thanks for watching this, man. Appreciate it. That's the assistant coach for the Nunez Baseball Pelicans.
Good deal. Good deal. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we return, the head coach of the John Curtis Christian Patriots football team, the one and only head coach JT Curtis, will join us right here as we celebrate the life of Ed Daniels. JFK Martial Arts offers a wide variety of martial arts programs for kids, teens, and adults as they empower lives through martial arts. Please give them a call at 985-266-06 888-866-64. And don't forget to ask about their 1 week free special. Feeling drained from the constant noise in your daily life? Immerse yourself in pure audio bliss with drums. Experience a world of crystal clear sound, free from distractions. Discover the ultimate relaxation and escape into an oasis of serenity. Grab yours today. drumsworld.com.
If you're looking for the best pizza in Metro New Orleans, then you're in the right place. Moe's Pizza has a great selection of Italian food that can satisfy your appetite, and they can also cater to your needs in any event. Give them a call at 504-341-9650 or log on to www.moespizzanola.com, located at 1112 Avenue H in West Wego, Louisiana. Moe's Pizza, Italians do it better.
And welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, Jared Boyd, alongside VK Jones. Our next guest, yes, you have seen him on Friday Night Football for over 30 plus years. He's the all-time winningest high school football coach in the nation and multiple state championships he has won at John Curtis Christian School. Welcome back to the show, the one and only Coach JT Curtis. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. I tell you what I like the most, though, that shirt. That's a good-looking shirt you got on, my friend.
Yes, sir. Coach, man, as soon as that shirt went on sale, I put my order in just like that, Coach. I had to get it, Coach. It was history made, man, and it was great that you got it, and congratulations, Coach.
I appreciate it. Obviously, the credit goes to a lot of people through the years, and sometimes we focus on the last game, but you had to win the first one. And those kids were just as important and made such an impact to allow us to achieve that goal and hopefully continue to be able to move forward.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Coach, like I said, you worked with Ed Daniels for over 30 plus years on Friday Night Football. Y'all established a great relationship. Talk about what kind of person he was off of the TV screen.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is I go back with Ed when he first started, when he was at WDSU with Buddy Diliberto and Vince Marinella and Ro Brown. And I heard you talking about the four sports people at GNO now, but I'm going to tell you that group that he worked with broke him in the right way. He was with some highly professional people and had to deal with Buddy every day. So that was a growing experience for him. And it was obvious as a young, just out of college reporter, the passion he had for what he did. He was a guy that even at that young age was committed to doing a story and doing it right. And of course, that relationship developed as he went on to Lake Charles and worked there for a number of years, and then came back and got involved with WGNO right now, and as he has, and our relationship continued to grow. And he was a guy that was easy to work for and difficult to work for because he expected greatness. Now, I learned early on in that show, and I really should have known it, but it didn't really hit me until we had worked together for really several weeks in that first year in 92, until I realized he feels about that show the way I feel about Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his prep for that show was the same way that I prepped for that game on Friday night. And I wanted it to be right. And I wanted the people that surrounded the team to do it right and to put in the effort and the energy that would be required in order for us to have a chance to be successful. And he was the same way. He could get excited on that set when that commercial came on for a little bit. But as soon as they started counting us down, he would change that whole mantra and be right back focused on the show. But I really learned to appreciate that about him early on, the passion he had for doing it right. Just do it right.
Talk to us about how he was a great proponent, not only for high school sports, but just for sports in general in the New Orleans area.
Yeah, and again, Rich touched on it. You in your last segment. He loved covering sports, and I believe he took it, as good coaches do, as a personal challenge to be able to do the job and do it correctly, and not make excuses about why you couldn't, but find ways that you could. And he was. I can remember after the show on Friday, he would be talking to whatever reporter was on staff at that time. I'll see you here tomorrow. Let's leave for 10 o'clock. We'll give us time to get to Baton Rouge for 11:30 or so. We'll have a chance to get set up. I mean, we just got off the air, and he was planning for LSU the next day, or covering Tulane, or covering them both. And he was just a guy that was so highly organized within himself and what the expectation of himself was. I think people had to respect that, even though I sensed at times there were people that worked through the years with him that didn't like the way he pushed. To be honest with you, it was more than they were willing to put into it, and he expected it and demanded it, and got it done. But he had such a high expectation of himself and the commitment that he made, and the effort and energy he was going to put in, and he expected it from the people that worked with him. And I will say this: I think there's a difference in working for someone and working with someone. And he was a guy that you worked with because he was standing right by your side.
VK.
Coach, man, how things are going with you, man? I tell you one thing, JB said it himself. He said that if the next time we had JT Curtis on the show, that shirt, I'm wearing that shirt right then and there. And he did it. That man did it. I was like, I looked at him earlier. I said, wait, that shirt. Oh, okay. I see why. Yeah. How you doing, Coach? You been okay?
Doing well. Summer's going well. Hot. We did our 7-on-7 today, and Rich's crew was out there, covered a little 7-on-7, and we had a nice event at St. Charles Catholic, and they do a nice job of putting a little 7-on-7 program on for all of us that participate, and it went well, and has gone well, and I think it's an important part of our preparation in the summer. 7-on-7 is not real football, and you got to be very careful that you don't get caught up in winning and losing 7-on-7 games. And of course, the main reason for that is because those 5 guys up front aren't playing.
Correct.
And that makes an automatic difference. But the ability to learn to adjust the coverages, to make throws that you need to see. Can I stick the ball in there? Do I need to lay the ball up? Do I need to check it down? Or do I need to throw it away? I think that's what 7-on-7 really brings to the table, that allows you to improve as a team and as a quarterback in particular.
Very much agree, Coach. And I see a lot of improvement in your passing game in the last almost 10 years with Curtis. And we see some much better pop passes and drop backs than we ever seen at John Curtis. Because I'm like, look, JT, he knows the game, and he can really kind of adjust to it. So I think it's been pretty much a great adjustment, because we've been seeing, we know what kind of style, but at the same time, we see the passing game. I'm like, I'll tell you, Curtis can catch you slipping sometimes on the passing game.
Yeah, well, a lot of that credit goes to Jeff. Jeff, obviously played quarterback for us here, but he had great exposure at Tulane. He really did. He was recruited by Coach Buddy Stevens and that staff. Frank Monica, by the way, was on that staff, and he was at the 7-on-7 today. I told him, I said, Frank, I thought you retired. He said, I am. I said, well, what are you doing out here in the heat? And he just shook his head. But he was on that staff, and Jeff had a great background. And of course, when Coach Bowden came in, Rich Rodriguez was his quarterback coach. And I think if you really pin Jeff down and asked him who was a big influence in his life in terms of quarterback play and in terms of how the quarterback handles himself, he would tell you Rich was a tremendous influence on his coaching. And so he's been able to bring it to another level. We have a 4 wide out package that we've developed, that he's developed, that gives us some diversity when we need it. And we're going to always be a run first team because I truly believe that the teams that win are teams that can run the football. And when you can run the football, then the coverages are not as vast. It dictates more of what the defense has to do, which I think, again, gives the quarterback in the passing game an opportunity to open up in a very special way.
Very much agreed. Straight great X's and O's there by a legend in itself. Gotta ask you this, talking about the life of Ed Daniels. We go way back, Coach, and I can go way back to when I was a teenager and when I was a player. I remember 92, first year of Friday Night Football, and seeing you and Ed, and the intros were awesome. And then all of a sudden, I'm a year later, I'm a whole year later, I was a freshman in St. Aug, seeing the 2 years with the WGNO Classic. And all of a sudden, I finally meet you in person my sophomore year as a player for St. Augustine. And it's a game I still would never forget. St. Aug having a 19-0 lead. You guys come all the way back to win that game. Yeah. And I always look at Jeff. I shook your hand, and your personality was unbelievable. I mean, man, just shaking everyone's hand for St. Aug. Like, great game, guys, great game. Y'all played a hell of a game today. And he had a great, great attitude to us. He always said, like, hey, love it when y'all play hard. Love y'all when y'all work hard. And then every time I see, and JT knows this, every time I see Jeff, I always shake his hand. 4th and goal at the 25-yard line, JB. I don't know if you remember that. Jeff Curtis eluded 5 tackles and scored the winning touchdown for Curtis.
Nice.
And I mean, my goodness, I'm like, I tell Jeff all the time, I said, man, I don't know how you did it, but you did it. So I have to shake your hand because I'm like, as a St. Aug player, it's like we're just so close to get it, but didn't happen. But at the same time, it was a great first time to experience how you coach your team and everything, your son playing well, but then on top of that, knowing you years later and seeing how you do things on and off the field, it just made me give more and more respect to you.
Well, I appreciate that. Obviously, we remember that play, and as he was running through the tackles, I was thinking, God never stops making miracles. Because
that's right.
I don't know how in the world he outran that St. Aug team to get it in the end zone, but he did. And I think what the bottom line to it is that winners find a way to win. That they're gonna make a play that you wouldn't expect them to be able to make. They're gonna make a throw. They're gonna make a run. They're gonna tackle the guy from behind that they shouldn't catch. And I think a lot of that speaks to the commitment that they've made, that when it doesn't seem like it could happen, you've got a chance and an opportunity to make it to happen. And that was certainly one of those games. That was a very good St. Aug team. We were good too. Now we were a good team, and that coaching staff at St. Aug, Burton Burns and Tony Villegas, and those guys were all in that team. And I mean, those were some good football coaches, still are. good football coaches. They were in the business, but that was a memorable game for our school and for our family.
Very much so. Burton Burns was actually my offensive line coach before he left. So, yeah, so he was a hard worker. I love him to death. I appreciate him always giving me the confidence to do what I need to do. And Coach Big has meant so much to me as well. So, but it was some great times, great battles over the years. It was great battles between St. Aug and Curtis. Always,
yeah, no question. Still is.
Still is.
Every time we play them, they have a little extra juice in the tank. They really do, and that's good. I mean, that's what high school rivalry should be about. And I have great respect for the way that school is run and the way they play. And we look forward to the challenge every year because it's going to be that. Speaking of Burton, Burton ended up at Tulane coaching Jeff at Tulane.
Yeah,
wow.
And really through the years when Burton was at Clemson and then at Alabama, we just always had a great relationship with the Burns family, the whole family. His father going back to his dad, and of course his brothers, and then Burton. And every time that he would come in to recruit and spend some time, we just had a great time talking about the old days and the old times and different people and different plays. But they're an iconic family, I believe, in the New Orleans area. The Burns family, and
yes,
count them as friends.
Absolutely. And the last time I seen him was years and years ago. Ran into him. He was still at Bama, and he was like, "Jones, how you been, man? You still out there doing what you got to do. I'm very proud of you." And I appreciated that, hearing that from him. Yeah. So he's a great family all around. Knowing a lot of them, playing ball with his son and everything. It was a lot with his family. But besides that, talking about the life of Ed Daniels, going from Friday Night Football for a long time, and you've done a great job adjusting to the plays and all that good stuff and everything else. A lot of preparation, right, Coach?
A lot of preparation, and what was really neat as the years went by, we learned to anticipate each other. We learned I could feel when he needed an extra 20 seconds to get a thought together, or that he needed an opportunity to say something, and I needed to shut up and let him say what he needed to say, and vice versa. It was really a great experience. How we could play off of one another and learn how to work together to make that show the positive impact that it was. BK, rarely, and I mean rarely, do I go out somewhere that I don't have someone walk up to me and say, "Coach, you remember me? I was number 42, and I scored 2 touchdowns for John Mack back in the day, and you." And I can't remember to save my life. But to him, it was a moment. It was a moment in his life that he and his family have cherished and lived through. And that was the intrinsic value of Friday Night Football. And with Richie, it'll continue to be that. Because you give young people an opportunity to have a day in the sun that ordinarily they would never have. And it's just been so rewarding to have people walk up to you and tell you how much they appreciated the show, or watching the show, or highlighting their team on the show. And it's something that makes you be fulfilled, makes you feel like you've made a contribution to these young people and eventually to the community and to their families.
Very much so, Coach. I very much agree, man. Me and Jared many times, man. When he played for Shaw, played for St. Aug, and St. Aug, you'd had the Saturday games, but when we had a Friday game, oh man, we tried to get home and try to look at the highlights, see how y'all used to, how things looked, and give us the good comments and all. It was really cool, win or lose, just to see our teams or somebody we know playing or a huge game and be like, hey, who won the ball game? You know what I'm saying? So, but I love those shows that y'all do sometimes when it might be one of them nights when you have maybe upsets. I mean, like, oh, we have some big upsets tonight. Man, let's get to it's like,
talking about that, BK, we would be I'd get there after the ball game, and obviously I'm rushing pretty good. We're going through the scripts, and I can hear him on the phone. Stay, don't leave, stay. We'll kick it back to the D block. Just get the highlight, get the winning touchdown, get the 2-point conversion. I mean, he was passionate about getting the whole story. And even though it would jam us up, even though we had to adjust on the set often, he wanted to have that winning touchdown or the winning 2-point conversion or the block field goal or whatever it might be. Stay. And again, it speaks to the passion that he had about the game. I was going to say this to you too. Something else that I learned as we progressed was that we really, BK, Jared, we really set the tone for a lot of shows across the country. We had calls from California or Nevada or different places that they would ask, how do y'all doing? How did y'all start this? What are you doing with it? And a lot of prep football coverage across the United States came out of Friday Night Football to that extent. I think a lot of stations had covered some games, but to do a show of that magnitude on a major network, there was a lot of people that got involved with their Friday Night Lights or whatever the name might be to highlight the kids in their community also.
That's awesome. Wow.
That's unbelievable. Gotta ask you this, and I know you might not remember a lot, Coach, but it can be recent. And give us one of your best moments you and Ed has had on Friday Night Football. It could be maybe one of your state championships, maybe a great game. Give me at least one or maybe two that stands out to you as maybe one of the best moments you had.
Well, certainly some of the plays that Joe McKnight would make, some of the plays that he made in the big game, the Hoover game will go down in history in both states. Believe me, I talk to people from Alabama, and they will invariably talk to me about the Hoover game and that McKnight kid and the plays that he made. And certainly Joe was that way. Reggie Dupard, that didn't have to be through some guys that were a little bit longer in prep sports, but we were playing in a ball game one night, and it was a close ball game, and we had a third and 10 or 11 yards, and I was on the phone with Mike Robertson, and we were talking about what we wanted to call in the at the timeout, and Leon, my brother, interrupted. He said, "Look, I don't care what play y'all call, just give it to Dupard." And the next thing you know, Reggie was in the end zone and we won the ball game. And, that was a little pre Friday Night Football, but those kind of plays really stand out. The catch that was made against, the playoff game, Acadiana, the catch that Jarvis Stevenson made, that Reggie Johnson threw, that was a fabulous play in a game that we had just battled in and really were not supposed to win it. And they found a way to make a great play and to win the ball game, but there've been a number of those kind of plays through the years. Some great backs that we've been able to feature. When you talk about the Manning family and having that family's highlights and the great teams at West Jeff and Errett in the day, Leonard Valentine and the plays that those guys could make, they were just magic. They were magic plays, and you go down through the years, and it's hard to say one was better than the other. What I would say is that they were special players who made special plays to give their team a chance to win the game.
Seemed like y'all guys, I think John Curtis and St. Aug was competing like more of like running back you for one time, because all the backs that came from John Curtis and St. Aug combined. I mean, my goodness, the year that the first time I met you in person, that game in Tag Gormley, St. Aug had those fullbacks with Sean Rose,
Yeah.
Damian Charles, Dennis Burks, and was it no, I think Terrence Wilson left. Sean Rose, Damian Charles, Dennis Burks, and
Rhodes was the big tailback.
Rose was a big tailback.
Rhodes could run the football.
Jamal Fobbs. That's
There
it.
we go. We go back with that St. Aug when we played him when Fournette was a senior, and
Yes.
I'll never, you look back on things sometime, and it came down to a 2-point conversion at the end of the ball game, and Leonard got matched up against a guy that was a good high school football player, and of course Leonard beat him on the play, and they scored the touchdown, I believe it was, and went on to win the ball game late in the ball game, and you just look at a guy like him and realize, here I am asking a 17-year-old senior to cover a guy that's still in the National Football League. But that's what high school football is about, really.
Yes.
It's about those kids and an opportunity for them to make plays and play against great players. And through the years, those have really been some exciting events that took place on the gridiron.
Wow. Gotta ask you this. Now we asked Rich this earlier. The first night that you and Richie Mills went with Friday Night Football, Richie was wondering, do we have to go without JT at first? Because there was a lot with Ed being gone, but not just that. I think the same year you lost your wife and everything months before. And I know it was a lot for you, but what was on your mind? Because it seemed like Rich was saying like we wanted to make things comfortable, and it seemed like when JT came in, he came in there ready to roll, and he wanted to enjoy what he loved to do.
Well, I think there are a couple of things in that, and look, I would be lying to you to tell you that I didn't know if I wanted to go on without him. To be honest with you, we had blood, sweat, and teared it so much and so much through the years. But I realized this: he would have said, "Get up and go do that show. Get up and go get that done. Be professional." And one of the things that I've tried to be, though I'm not a professional media person, in that role I was. And it was important for me to act in a manner that was honoring him and how he would have wanted that show to go. And that's what allowed me to get through that. The first one was hard. First one was tough. It was very emotional and Richie was under a lot of pressure. And I remember telling Rich, I say, Rich, just be yourself. We're gonna be okay. I'm right here. We'll get through this together. And I'll be honest and tell you, I thought we did. I thought we did a good job. I thought that Ed would have been proud of the show and the type of show we put on for that hour. A lot of people, BK, Jared, they don't know how hard live television is, man.
Right.
There's no cut it and let's redo it. I mean, you got to be on top of your game, and you've got to have some self-confidence in what you're saying and what you're doing, and be sure that your thoughts are collected before you speak.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that. And you mentioned my wife. She went to the show with me every Friday night and would sit and help us. help me get the scripts together or get organized, and we'd get done. And when the show was over, we every Friday night we rolled through rallies and got us a burger and went home and went to bed at 1:15, 1:30 in the morning. And so all those emotions were going through my mind as we went through that first show. But I knew what he would have had expected, and I knew that she would have wanted me to go out there and to do the best that I could do and be the best that I could be. And that's what allowed me to, I think, do it as successfully as we did.
Ask you one more question, Coach, and we'll close it out from there. For one, the chemistry with you and Rich was unbelievable. It had to take a lot of, but it seemed like Friday Night Football didn't miss a beat with you and Richie, especially throughout the season. And it seems like the second year is going to be very much sweeter with y'all having that year down pat. How it was with the chemistry, but not just that. How things are going with your family? And I know it was a lot with you losing your wife and everything, but at the same time, how's things with your family going and the progress with y'all?
Well, I think you hit the key word, BK. Family. Family. The people that you depend on, the people that you need to be able to lean on when the things are difficult, it's got to be family. And it's one of the concerns that, to be honest with you, as a minister, as an educator, as a coach, that I have concern that the families sometimes get disjointed. There's not a strong commitment within the relationships of family. And when things get hard, you need to be able to count on somebody. And I've been fortunate. I have my daughter who's married to Tommy Fabacher, who's our secondary coach, and Johnny and Dawn and Tony and Jeff, and the 10 grandkids. It's been a tremendous support. There's still lonely minutes now. There's still lonely times. And I think the family has been so important. And then finally, I would say to you, my faith. I've got to remember that Lydia looks at us and says, "Don't feel sorry for me. I'm with my Father in heaven, man. I feel bad that you have to live in that mess that y'all are living in. Wait till you get here." And as a Christian, that's our hope. That's what I rely on, that one day, whether I go first or the Lord comes before I go, we're going to be joined back together, and we're going to be able to live in eternity without the difficulties of this life. But while we're here, we are responsible to serve Him and to serve the community that we find ourselves in. And the family has been a vital part of that for me.
Ooh,
Well
man,
said.
God bless you. I mean, well said. And you know, I had went through it myself, losing my spouse a couple of years ago. So, you know, I live with that same mantra every day. So I definitely understand where you coming from, and I've seen the times that you did an unbelievable job with your family and your wife. And when I see you was doing what you can for her, it made me think about me at the time before my wife passed. So thank God for you and what you were doing, and I continue to pray for you, your family, and the Ed Daniels family going forward, because you know God will heal all the times, and at the same time will bring us through His glory.
That's right. He'll see us through it. We just got to have the faith to understand it, that He'll see us through it. He promised us very clearly, "I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to forsake you." Even sometimes when you turn your back on me, even sometimes when you don't really trust what I'm doing, I'll always be there. And that's the challenge for us today as Christians and as men, to trust the Lord, but to serve Him while we're here. I tell it to people all the time. You want to please God? It's not about money. It's serving His creation.
Yes, sir.
He created each of us in His image unto greatness. We are to be a part of that. We are to serve his creation. And when we do that, we'll have a piece of the joy that'll pass human understanding, I can tell you.
That is correct.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Coach JT Curtis, thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it. And before you go, my cousin, your former player, Aaron Meyer, wanted to tell you hi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Listen, you got 2 minutes or we out of time?
I got 2 minutes. Yes, sir.
Okay. When I first got Aaron, now this is a true story. He's going to kill me. He came to me and he said, Coach, I'm a quarterback. And I looked at him and I'm thinking, quarterback. But, Aaron's a bright kid,
Yes.
smart. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let him do it. I'm going to let him play quarterback. He wants to play. And really, to be honest with you, that's one of the things that I do. I never tell a player initially where they have to play because they'll always resent not giving them that chance.
Correct.
So no matter who you are, I said, okay, go ahead. So he did it for about a year, maybe a little more than a year. And then he came to me and said, Coach, I think maybe I ought to go to defense. I said, okay, Aaron, you want to go to defense? Yeah, I'm going to be a defensive tackle. I said, okay. So he played defensive tackle for a while. And after about 6 months, 9 months, whatever, he came to me and said, Coach, I think I need to play in the offensive line. I said, Aaron, I could have told you that 2 years ago. Okay. I said, but you're going to go you're going to go to the offensive line. You're going to play offensive center for us. He signed at UCLA.
Yep.
He played college football at UCLA as a center in the Pac-12. How about that? But he had to discover that for himself.
Yes.
I had to be the one that gave him the opportunity. And then when the time came, Coach Rob coached him to be a pretty good player. But that was a true story. Aaron started his career as a quarterback.
It's the truth, VK, because Aaron, he and his parents live next door to my grandmother. And I go to my grandmother's house and I'll just walk over and me and Aaron be in the yard throwing a football. And Aaron would always say, I'm gonna be quarterback at John Curtis. And I look at him, okay. Like, I don't think in my mind, I wouldn't tell him no, but I'm like, in my mind, no, you kind of big, man. I can see you in the trenches. That is the true story what Coach Curtis just said.
It looked like he lost a lot of weight, you know what I'm saying? Like the pictures I seen like kind of recently when he was coaching, but I didn't know he was like that big back then playing quarterback, and then all of a sudden he played on the line. That's amazing. Wow.
Yep.
More like a remember the quarterback from Kentwood coach Dangerfield?
Yeah.
The big quarterback. Thinking of that,
Same kind of deal. There you go.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
Hey,
Coach,
thank y'all.
yes, sir.
We've enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. God
Yes,
bless.
We enjoyed it.
Thank you, Coach, and we'll be in contact with you soon, Coach. Thank you.
Good. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too.
The legend himself, Coach JT Curtis, giving us some stories about Ed Daniels. But yes, speaking of Aaron, yes, Aaron was
an interesting story.
Aaron was stuck with wanting to be a quarterback. Yes, that is a fact. Yes, it is. Oh man, yes indeed. That is funny.
Yeah, because I'm like, you there's a very few quarterbacks that are kind of big in stature. And one of them was Dangerfield. That I keep forgetting his first name. I think his name was see, the Kentwood people will tell me who he was because I remember. And this dude was big as a house playing quarterback. And Friday Night Football talked about him, had highlights, and also had a story about him. Yeah. And I couldn't believe he was that big, but he could throw the football. I was like, my God, this dude is good. He can throw it and run. So I know he had to play another position probably in the college level, but hey, you know what I'm saying? But he played. You know what I'm saying? He said he handled it not too bad, but he was like, just got a little tired of it. He said, hey, let's just play defense.
Everybody that's watching Facebook, X, YouTube, and even Instagram, a lot of the players from Curtis was on watching, and we appreciate it so much. Thank y'all so much. Yes. Oh, man.
John Curtis faithful. You know what I'm saying? Man, we love all the fan bases coming through, man. This has been one show for the ages.
Oh, yeah. Man, definitely. Also, I wanted to tell on this, and I forgot. I wanted to thank him for allowing us to stream some of the games we did. We had a St. All Curtis game, and want to thank you for that. In the basketball playoff game for the girls, I did
Yes,
want to thank you for
absolutely.
that also.
JT,
Definitely.
so if you still watching this, Jeff Curtis, if you're still watching this, we definitely appreciate you opening the doors for us, and we're planning to do some stuff before the season, so be on the lookout
That's what I
because
said. You'll hear from us soon.
you'll hear from us
Definitely.
soon because we're definitely going to be coming to some practices before the season start and do some profile stuff before we get it going. But we appreciate them for opening the doors for us to give
Definitely.
some shine
Yep.
to John Curtis.
Definitely. And that's going to end our show for today. We're back Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. Back Tuesday and Wednesday, right here on Legends Month. So just tune into our social media accounts and you'll know who our guests will be Tuesday and Wednesday, July 8th and July 9th. I want to give a special thank you to Coach JT Curtis and to Richie Mills, the host of Friday Night Football, both of them, for joining us tonight and, talking about the life of Ed Daniels. And one thing Ed Daniels will always tell me every time he saw me, he'd say, Jared, your uncle still owes me a steak dinner.
You're right. Every
My
time.
uncle, my uncle Glenn, yeah, they used to work at ABC 26 WGNO. Yes, they worked together there, and I think it was a bet on a Saints game, and my uncle lost. He never paid for that. He never paid his steak dinner. Never, he didn't live up to his bet.
Oh wow, Uncle Glenn could wow. But see, I love when Ed always comes and he gives a lot of respect to a lot of our media conglomerates around the city, including us. We never forget the Sugar Bowl Classic, and I mean open the doors for all of us. You can name it 1008, even Josh Preston, G Sports. I mean, open the doors for those guys to come in and do some coverage and everything else. And I
Yeah,
mean, he admired a lot of us still putting sports on the map in the city of New Orleans in an extended type of way. So and Ed was honest person when it comes to you. He was honest enough, and I mean an unbiased opinion. I'm covering a St. Augustine basketball game
yeah,
and I see a questionable call in the ball game, and Ed was right behind me. He said, "Hey VK, that was an absolute bad call," and I'm like, "Wow, that's a Rummelgrad," and just told me this. And he said it was a bad call, and it should have been St. Aug's basketball, and I'm like, "Wow, that just showed me you're not about this biasness at all. You're about doing things the right way."
that's correct. That's him.
And
Yes,
that's him. And I
that's
and I
him.
and I love it. And I love his honesty. But to the Curtis family, we keep you in prayer with Miss Lydia and everything. And
Definitely.
also the Ed Daniels family,
Yes,
Robin Daniels and those kids, we continue to pray for you, especially Miss Robin. We love you very much. We love those kids. We love everyone. We keep y'all in prayer that you continue to heal during the time. The Daniels family and the Curtis family as well.
definitely, definitely. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. Everybody is still here. Make sure y'all go ahead and share this. Share this.
Yeah.
Share it. Like it.
Special show, man.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
had big numbers tonight. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going up.
Share this with everybody. Let's keep it rolling, man. We appreciate y'all. We're back Tuesday and Wednesday. We will let you know who our guests will be
Happy
on our
4th of
social
July.
media accounts. And Mr. Interrupter here still.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish, dude. I'm gonna wait.
Everybody enjoy your 4th of July weekend. Go ahead, sir. What you got to say?
Oh yeah, happy 4th of July weekend. Don't drink and drive. You
Yes.
got Essence weekend and everything else. Come in and you still got tickets on sale, man. I understand it's kind of difficult, but get your tickets and everything else. But regardless, come here, have a good time. Don't get in any trouble, and we can have a great and peaceful weekend. Hash it out show game of the week coming up soon. Sponsors, we're asking for your support. Just please come and support us. We got affordable rates starting at $150, and we got 5 different packages. We want your support. So just come on and just be a part of it, even if it's a donation. We would love for you to be a part of the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week.
Without a doubt. For VK Jones, I'm Jared Boyd, JB the sports guy. I did say Jared Boyd for doing the John Curtis. During the interview with JT Curtis.
Proud of you, man. Proud of you. It's
Oh,
very
thank you, man.
professional.
Thank you.
I think your uncle be very proud of you.
Oh, he is, without a doubt. All-time winningest coach. All-time winning coach. You know what it says on the back?
I think it said if you count or something like that, or something about counting.
Yeah, you remember how that went? How
that
went? Yeah.
That there was. I was like, I didn't know if I want to get the shirt or not, but when you was bold enough to get it, I was like, the next time we had JT, I'm putting that shirt on. And I was like, I know you're gonna do it. And you bought this shirt. I was like, I don't know if I will buy it or not, but that's you. You will buy it, get it.
I put the order in so quick, man. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all take care.
Hi, I'm Erica Randolph, head coach of the Hahnville Tigers boys basketball team, and you are watching The Hash It Out Show.
Thank you for watching the Hash It Out Show. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.